Hi, welcome to Fusion Beads. Today I'm going to show you how to make our mala necklace. This mala necklace is constructed using 8mm red Jasper round gemstones. I have a 12mm red Jasper guru bead. I have 7mm pewter beads. For my cord, I am using pearl cotton in this pretty sea green color, as I like how it contrasts with red Jasper color. For my tools, I'm using tweezers. I have a flexible needle, I have a tapestry needle, and then I have beading scissors. You can find links to all these beads and supplies in the description below. So let's get started. Okay, to begin, I went ahead and I cut 240 inches of cord and I folded it in half and threaded on my flexible needle. This way, the flexible needle will let me go through the beads with the double cord with ease. So you will end up with 120 inches of working cord. And the reason that it's going to be so long is because we're doing double knots between each bead so that the beads don't slip through and that you see a little bit more color in between there. And then also you'll want to leave about an 8-inch tail at your end that doesn't have any beads so that you can attach your tassel at the end. So we'll go ahead and pearl knot the entire necklace and then we'll make a tassel and we'll attach that with our guru bead. So to get started, I already went ahead and I did a double knot at the end of my cord here. So it's going to anchor my first bead. And for this mala, it has 180 beads. And every 12th bead is a pewter bead. And I started with the pewter. So my first bead is going to be my pewter. So I go ahead and just take my flexible needle. And I slide on my bead there. And then you just slide it all the way down to your double knot that you already have. And then if you've ever done pearl knotting, you just make a simple knot. You take really fine tweezers and you grasp the working cord there right above the bead. You hold onto it tight and then you pull the knot all the way down. And then I take the tweezers out and then I use that and I just push the knot down a little bit more. So to do a double knot, just do the same process, but this time I use the tip of the tweezers, and this is why you really want like fine point tweezers, is I grab underneath the knot. Then that way you make sure that your double knots go on top of each other and they're not just like spaced apart like two knots. So that it's actually a larger knot and it will keep the beads from sliding past it. And then again, I just use the tweezers to kind of push the knot down, and there I've got two nice big knots. So I've got my silver bead on there, so now I can go ahead and string on my first gemstone bead. And I really liked how the gemstone color looks with the sea green, or I think it's sea foam pearl cotton. It's a real pretty color contrast. So go ahead and make a second, or your first knot. Again, grasp right above your gemstone bead. And then with the other hand, just pull your knot tight down there. Pull out your tweezers and then just scoot your knot down. And then just repeat that process a second time. Just grab underneath that knot again and then push it down, pull out your tweezers, and then squish your knot down. So then you have a nice double knot, and then your gemstone's not going to move in between there. If you only do one knot, it is going to move. It's going to slide over your knot, and then it just doesn't look as nice when you have your piece all strung up. So I'm just going to continue in the same process, stringing on your beads here and making knots in between. And this is just like basic pearl knotting is what it is. So you can always check out our basic pearl knotting technique too if you need more pointers. And then just do a second knot. And say for instance, like if you like don't quite get your knot far enough down, like I'm going to kind of just mess this one up and show you how you can kind of fix it. So this one's going to sit, like my knots are going to be sitting right next to each other. So my beads will slide over those, but don't fret. Don't think like if this has happened halfway through your mala that you have to start over. What you can do is just do a third knot and grab right under that first knot with your tweezers, hold on tight, and then pull your knot down. And it will bring those two knots together, and it will look a little bit bigger, but once you get your bead strung on there, you can't tell. And so that's just a good way that you can kind of save it in case your second knot didn't get right on top of your first knot. So it's not the end of the world. Nobody wants to start over after you've strung a bunch of beads on there. So you can not even tell hardly that that's 3 knots in there. So that's just a good way to like fix it if they do happen to get off course. So I'm just going to continue in the same process with my pattern, and we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've strung up like one section here. So I started with a metal bead. I have 11 beads in between of gemstones, and then I have my 12th bead is the pewter bead. And the reason I started with a metal bead at the bottom is because I wanted the metal bead to be next to my guru bead. And then I've got my tail here for my tassel. So I'm just going to continue in the same fashion of doing 11 gemstones and a pewter bead until I've strung all 108 beads on, and then we'll make my tassel. Okay, so I went ahead and I strung my working thread through my guru bead and my tube bead there with my flexible needle. So I brought that down. And then for the other end, seeing how it wasn't folded over, I just tied a double knot and added another flexible needle. And so I've got that halfway strung through, as you can tell. And it's the best way to get through the guru bead is to just give it a little bend. So it'll make that turn. So I'm going to go ahead and finish pulling that through. And the flexible needle will help too to pull the knots and everything through really easily. So then take your second flexible needle and slide through the tube part of the guru bead. Bring that down. So then everything's nice and tight there, and it looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these cords on here, and I'm going to just use these as my 2 working cords. So then I will, once I make my tassel, I'll use this to tie around the tassel. So I'm going to go ahead and just push that up above and set that aside, and then I'm going to make my tassel right now. So I'm going to use a business card, and I just like strung out here a bunch of thread, because you're going to string your thread around the business card, and you can go either the long ways or the short ways of the business card. I'm going to go the long ways because I want a longer tassel to be in proportion with my mala here. So you just like, I'm just going to leave a little bit of a tail there so that I have it, but I'm going to put it actually at the back. No, I'm going to leave it in the front, sorry. And then I just start wrapping it around the card. And you'll do this to as much as you want for like how fluffy you want your tassel to be. So I'm not really counting. I'm just kind of going to go off visually of when I think I like it, then I'll stop. Because I want it to be pretty fluffy. But you got to remember too that it's not just going to be this front part, it's going to be this back part too together. So I'm thinking we're doing pretty good here. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut my tail off here. So I've got my 2 tails, and they're definitely longer than my tassel, so then I can cut them to have them be in length. So before sliding this off, I'm going to go ahead and take my 2 working threads from my mala, and I'm going to tie them around the top of the soon-to-be tassel. And it's best if you do this while it's on the card, and then that way you don't lose the shape or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and slide them both under there. So if you can kind of see there, they're kind of looped in there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot. All right, so I just want to make sure it's nice and tight towards the top there. So I have 1 knot. I'm just going to do a second one, and then I'll kind of show you a little bit better There. Okay, so now I can slide off my card. I'm still going to kind of keep my shape there so that I can cut it real quick. There. So now I've got my tassel. So making sure you don't cut your working threads, the 2 threads that we had that were used from the mala to tie on your tassel. So you want to put those off to the side. And then we're going to take one of our tails that we had from when I made the tassel, and then I'm going to go ahead and loop around to kind of make the little, bring these 2 pieces together. So you just bring it down, and then I just start looping around. And I'm going to do this probably about 5 or 6 times. You just want to like have a little nice tie of thread there to make your top. And you can do it more or less. It depends on kind of the look you're going for. So about 5 or 6 times. So I've got that on there. Then I take a tapestry needle and I go ahead and I thread the end on. You might have to recut it. It might be like a little frayed from working, so give it a quick trim. And then slide. If it starts to split it, it's okay. If you can just kind of get part of it in there. There you go. So then you take that tapestry needle with your working end and you come under those wraps you just made and go down, and it will pull this end through there and it will secure that. So then you just take your needle out and you'll go ahead and, looks like I got my tassel a little off there when I went ahead and tied it up. That's okay because I can just trim it all together. Make sure it's all nice and even there. Looks good. And then you can kind of fluff out your tassel as you want there and kind of adjust to make sure that that's nice and centered and everything. And then I'll go ahead and I will cut off my 2 working threads because I've already got my double knot there. And I'll be able to kind of move that knot underneath so you won't even actually see it. And you could always put like a little drop of Hypo cement on your knot there if you wanted a little extra security. That's always a good idea. So I'm just going to kind of massage that knot so it kind of goes inside the tassel top so you don't see it that much. And there. You have your little tassels all done with your mala. You can find all the products and tools for this inspiration project at fusionbeads.com.